Welcome to A Quest for Metal. Today we are ranking every single Insomnium album from the weakest to the best. Now Insomnium is a melodic death metal band from Finland and they happen to be one of my favourites. If not my absolute favourite. So this is going to be a really hard ranking, and it was. And I don't even know if I'm happy with my list, but number one is definitely, easily number one. The rest is a bit hard. There might be some controversial ones as well, because some people do like some of these, which I'll have a bit lower, but without further babbling, let's get into the list with what I think is the weakest Insomnium album. So coming in last is Across the Dark, and even though it is last on the list, it's still a fantastic album, and still way better than a lot of other melodic death metal albums. That's how good this band is. This band is a complete different sound compared to the Gothenburg scene, you know? Completely different. It's more moody, more melancholic, if that's how you say the word. Definitely more doomier, and I prefer that sound, which so Insomnium is like really high for me. This album is fantastic. It just lacks a lot of the heart compared to a lot of the other albums. I mean, it's still like a 9 out of 10, and this is the last album. This is my least favourite, and it's still like a 9 out of 10. Listen to this one with a friend. We both really enjoyed it. So yeah, this album is still flawless. Like, the songs on it are still amazing. Like, the mood on it, it's still dripping with atmosphere. It's just the songs aren't as like catchy or as memorable. I think my favourite has to be the final song, actually. Weighted Down with Sorrow. I think that's the best one on the album. A lot of the songs are like 5 minutes long. There's no kind of epics on the album. You know, there's no epics on the album. Definitely not like Winter's Gate. But yeah, every song was great. The last song happens to be my favourite, and it's just a great record overall. Not amazing, not the best, but a good record. Next up is actually Since the Day It All Came Down. The songwriting is improved, the song lengths are better, there's more heart and soul in a lot of the songs, and I find myself enjoying the songs more, but the sound on this one is a bit weird, because I was listening to them out of order, basically, and I listened to the first album, and I was like, this sound is really raw and punchy. And then I listened to Heart Like a Grave, and I was like, hell yeah, this sound is so clear, so crisp, and so bombastic. And then I listened to this one, and the sound was a bit weak. So this is a bit lower because the sound's a bit weak compared to all the other albums, in my opinion. I don't know why this album, but this album, it sounds a bit weird. But the songs themselves are fantastic. The title track, Daughter of the Moon, Disengagement, which is 8 minutes long. So I love when bands like Insomnium and stuff have the 8 minute long epic tracks, and this has that as well. So the songs are great. It's just wish the sound was a bit better, a bit more edgy or raw like the first album, or a bit more polished like the new album. This kind of fits in the middle road, which is a bit awkward, but the album's still amazing. And I know one of my friends is going to be annoyed at this being so low, but yeah, my list. Next up, Shadows of the Dying Sun, which I almost had first for a long time, but after listening to all the albums in full over and over and over again, and then the new one coming out, this one, it dropped down a bit. I mean, it has While We Sleep, which is absolute fantastic song. That song is amazing and got me into the band. So I give it credit for that, and this is the album that got me into them. So yeah, I love it. It's an amazing album, but compared to the others, it doesn't have that edgy raw factor as the first album, like I was saying, because I love that sound on the first album. It doesn't have any songs aside from While We Sleep as amazing or as like beautiful as the new album, Heart Like a Grave, which I absolutely adore. That's gonna be high. But yeah, it's still a great kind of mid-road album for Insomnium. I mean, the 7 minute long The River is fantastic, and the title track, and the Promethean song, yeah. Songs, tick. Production, tick. Memorability, tick. Got me into them, tick. It's a fantastic album from a fantastic band, and putting it this low is kind of heartbreaking, but it has to go somewhere, and it's here, I'm afraid. Next up, One for Sorrow, the album before. And I think it's a bit better. I think this album is just perfect. I mean, every song on this is just a masterpiece in my opinion. Song of the Blackest Bird, Unsung, One for Sorrow, the title track. It is just, I think, a step above the one that came after, in my opinion. I know a lot of people probably have that higher, but for my personal taste, this album hits the nail on the head. It does it right. And all these songs, beautiful, the sound, melancholy, everything, the despair. is perfect. Next up, the first album in the Halls of Awaiting. Now this is what I'm talking about. This sound is just in your face. It's probably the most evil sounding Insomnium album, and all these songs just fucking kick ass. It has the most evil atmosphere out of all the albums. It's probably the most melodic death out of the albums as well. It's less doomy, which can be a downside or an upside. For me, I like both the sounds, so... But this one is more melodic death. The song The Elder, I can't get out of my head. Keep playing that song over and over again. The Elder is fantastic. And Black Waters, and then in the Halls of the Waiting. Every song on this is a killer. Every song is a punt. This is a 10 out of 10. You know, those are like 9 out of 10s. This is a 10 out of 10. Insomnium does not have a fucking bad album. This one is definitely... If you have this one, then that's bloody good for you, because this is fantastic for me, and I would put this one, but a couple of other albums knocked it off the pedestal. Next up, Winter's Gate. Bet you thought this was going to be one, didn't you? Because I love prog. This is less doomy, less melodic death. It doesn't feel like a melodic death album. It feels like a prog album. It feels like a Dream Theater. It's all one song. It's a fantastic album, 10 out of 10, amazing masterpiece. But I'm not putting it one. I'll put it here just because when I'm listening to things on shuffle, I like to listen to things on shuffle, and I never really listen to whole album songs on shuffle. Like if Bell Witch comes on, I'm not listening to it. I'm skipping it. If this comes on, I'm skipping it. I want to listen to like While We Sleep, or In the Halls of Awaiting, or some of the other songs, if you know what I mean. So I will take an album with 10 amazing songs over an album with one amazing song. Even though it's this long, it's just hard to get into. It's hard to digest on a daily basis. When you're in bed though and listening to it, this is flawless. 10 out of 10. And when you just sat down, nothing else to do, listening to an album, this is flawless. So I can't put it last because of it, because I love the album. I can't put it first because, you know, I want to listen to the albums where I think every song is a masterpiece and I can pick and choose and play it at random. I can't really play Winter's Gate at random. So I know a lot of people have this top, and that's good for you, but for me, it's going here. So number 2, the latest, Heart Like a Grave. I adore this one. This almost got one, but one other just knocked it out. But this one's fantastic. This one feels like Swallow the Sun. I mean, they're both Finnish, and I think the Finnish keyboardist from Swallow the Sun was on one of the albums anyway. But that sound is perfect. I prefer the sound on this album to the one in Winter's Gate. It's more doomier, it's more drearier, it's more heart-wrenching, I guess, for some of the songs. I mean, the song Valediction is just catchy as all hell, and the 7-minute Heart Like a Grave is just one of the best, I'm going to say it, doom metal songs of all time. I adore it. It's just exactly what I like. Doom's better than melodic death for me. So this album is better than some of the others, better than the first album, better than the prog album. This just is, it's perfect. It's perfect. 10 out of 10. But it's not my favourite. My favourite is Above the Weeping World. Going through every single album, Heart Like a Grave was easily number 1 until I got to this album. And I was like, this is great. This is doomy and melodic death and proggy all in one package. It's probably the most energetic and punchy out of all the albums. The sound is perfect on this album. The art is perfect on this album. And the songs are perfect. The Killjoy being just an absolute beast of a song. The Killjoy is a beast. The 10 minutes of the Groves of Death. Drawn to Black as well. A lot of these songs are 6 to 10 minutes long. Which is why I prefer it to Winter's Gate. Because you get more for your buck, basically. You can pick and choose. This comes on randomly, and like, the Killjoy comes on, and you're like, fuck yeah! Whereas if Winter's Gate comes on, I'm like, I don't have time for an hour long. I don't want to trash that album too bad, because I love it, and I give it a 10. But, shuffling, listening into your car, you know, this album is perfect for everything. Melodic death, doom, proggy. The singing is perfect, the production's perfect, the songs are perfect, the lyrics are awesome, the art's the best. Out of Insomnium, I'm not going to have any questions, the art's the best. So it's easily my favourite Insomnium album of all time. Let me know what you guys thought of the list in the comments below. What's your favourite Insomnium album? What would you change on this list? What's your least favourite? Let me know, and we'll see you again on another Quest for Metal.